Coach, what did you attribute the slow start to, and were you surprised that your group didn't have more juice?
I was surprised. I thought we'd practiced well. Thought we had a good routine this morning. But yeah, we just let our frustrations on offense carry over to the defense, and we could never, they didn't blister the nets to start really either. I think they were 2 of 7 from 3 to start, or 2 of 7 from the field to start. But we just let our frustrations offensively hurt us defensively. But give Virginia credit; they bounced back after a tough game on Wednesday. That's what you have to do in conference play, and we didn't have the consistency that we needed to start the game, and we really didn't have it against Wake Forest either. Wake Forest wasn't able to take advantage of those situations like Virginia was today, and so that was. It's hard when you're playing behind. And give them credit; they had a lot of poise when we made our run and cut it to 8. I think they scored 5 straight baskets after that. So they had a lot of poise and were able to answer our runs. And we just are still learning, to have the proper poise and everything that we need in those situations.
Coach, it's another career outing from a player on the opposition's team against you. Is it a closeout thing, or is it a switching 1 through 5 thing? What do you attribute to that?
Well, the first half, we weren't switching 1 through 5. We were keeping our bigs on their bigs to try to rebound. So they were putting us in rotation, and that's how Lewis was able to get loose in rotation. He was the guy in the corner where they were throwing the hammer passes, and the second half we did switch, knowing that we were going to give up some rebounds. I thought a critical play was the free throw offensive rebound we gave up. I thought we were still kind of hanging in there, and keeping it close where we could make a run. We'd have had the ball down 11, and instead it was it's a 13-point game, I believe, at that point. But the second half we did switch, which put us in some tougher situations where we had our big guys guarding Hall, who was driving it and passing it and kicking it out to their guys. So, just another guy who rose up and made some shots, and we've got to get a handle on that for sure.
When you talk about consistency, I know you said you're going to demand it. What does that look like behind the scenes?
I mean, we demand consistency daily. We just haven't, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to put it together in our high-level games, which at the end of the day, we're judged on our high-level games, and we haven't done that like we need to. That's just a fact, and so we've got to keep working at it, and eventually, the dam will break at some point. If you keep working, you keep working. But we're not there. We're not there yet.
Coach, were you satisfied with the quality of 3-point looks that you guys got today? It seemed like oftentimes you guys weren't getting paint touches to get those 3-point opportunities.
Yeah, our biggest issue was we were trying to score off the first side. Against a team like Virginia, they've got the big and drop down at the restricted arc. You have to drive the first one, kick it out, and then drive the second one. And sometimes the lane opens up and you can lay it in, or you can kick it out for more open looks. I'd have to go back and look at the threes. I would say to my naked eye during the game, the looks were not great. That's just my naked eye. I don't like to make too many judgments till I see it all. But, I think that we were trying to do too much too early and too much. They did to us what we like to do to other teams. They pressed us. We were getting into offense late in the clock. We were a little discombobulated, and to their credit, they attacked our press very well. We had to adjust the press at halftime. We did a better job in the second half with their screening and some of that. But they did a really good job against our press, and their press really slowed us down substantially.
Did you have an update on Trey Holloman?
Yeah, the X-ray at halftime was negative, so that was a positive. But it's something with his ankle, foot. Um, you know, it seems like it'll be okay, but it seems like it. I say it'll be okay. I'm not saying he'll play Tuesday. I don't know, but I don't think it's anything that's going to be too long term. From what I know now, I don't. Well, you are going to quote me on that, but I don't take that as I'm not the athletic trainer.
Is there anything to team building when you have 6 of the next 8 games on the road?
Well, we'll see. I didn't know we had 6 of 8. I knew we had 4 out of 5. I hadn't looked that far ahead, but I mean, look, we've got to do better work on the road. Just got to play better. That's all there is to it. We're not playing up to our capabilities, and that's my fault as the coach. We've got better players in how we're playing, and we haven't been able to put it together. And the road sometimes is a tricky place. Sometimes you can, to your point, you can really come together and be a great road team. Virginia's been very good on the road. They won here. They won at Texas. Like they've been good away from home. We've only been to Auburn, so we'll get a sense of over the next couple of weeks of how we are away from home.
I'm going to try this in the most productive way possible. You were obviously answering my question the other day, but part of you was talking to Darian. So were you surprised today that that type of emotion didn't elicit more of an all-around type of contribution from Darian today?
Yeah, and I mean, look, your question was a fair question. Your question was a very fair question last time. That was not directed at you.
I understand that.
I think that a lot of guys struggled on our team today. I don't want to pin it on any one person. I mean, if you pin it on one person, it's on me. I didn't have us prepared. I didn't have us playing. How we're capable of playing. But there's so many little nuances, in the game. We had a play drawn up for the first play that was supposed to get him it was going to be an open look. Virginia Tech had run something similar, gotten Hansberry, open look, and we were never able to execute it because we were just going a million miles an hour against the press, and we never got to it. And so the point is, if I could get us to execute that better, and he makes his first 3 on the left wing, and he's wide open, I mean, who knows how the day goes, right? Maybe it's a totally different day, a totally different game. So I can only focus on us executing what we're supposed to do better and having better poise and not getting so sped up. Not all of us, not getting so sped up. So we give ourselves the opportunity. To to play within the game plan and the framework of what we're trying to do, and we just don't do that. We just don't do that right now. But I mean, we've got to get him more than 8 looks a game. He's got to have the ball more than that. Getting 8 shots. He's got to get more than that a game. And that's on us as coaches to put him in better positions. And we got to put a lot of our guys, in better positions. To your question, Paul's 3-point looks, he made a couple of them today, but none of them were very clean either. So we've got to do a better job of putting the guys in a better spot.